What's going on, everyone? This is Kyle here. Got Tom with me. I would do the normal introduction, but had a couple of frosty beverages in me. I'm just kidding. I'm actually in New York right now for the next couple of days, and every time I'm in New York, I gotta make sure that I say what's up to Tom. So, live here from the YouKnowIGotSoul office. Tom, what is up?
What's up, everyone? Me and Kyle are doing this live podcast. This is our second live podcast. You remember the first one, Kyle?
Not really, because frosty beverages, I tell you.
It was down in New Orleans at Essence Festival. We had our guest Isaiah with us, and we had a fun live podcast. I don't really remember what we talked about. That was one of our earlier ones, but it was all part of the journey of this podcast series. What number are we on here?
We must be on our 20-something.
Early 20s.
Early 20s. We've kind of slipped off a little bit just because everyone's been busy. We tried getting Barry and Ed on this podcast today, but it was really last minute, very spontaneous. But we have a lot to cover, starting with our Songs of the Year countdown, which we've been doing now for, I think, how many years we've been doing? You've been doing it since the beginning, but just recently we've added my input as well as Ed's from SoulAndStereo.com. Barry is going to have his list as well, and we're going to just try to put together the best songs of 2015 for R&B, and we kind of determined that not based on chart performance or any of that. It's just strictly based on the music, how it sounds, and the quality of it. So, we're slowly but surely putting the list together right now. Tom, what's some of your criteria when you're judging a song for this?
I don't really care about if it was a single or not. If it was a great song that was on an album, if it's quality R&B music, I'm putting it in the list. You'll notice on my piece of the list, we had some songs that were on albums that weren't singles, just quality R&B songs. So as long as it's good music, I just want the best 100 songs, regardless of if the artist picked it as a single, if it did well on radio, if it was a big hit or not. That's my criteria. What about you?
Pretty much the same. I think, I got to give a quick shout out to Tom here. A funny, I got soul story for you guys. When I first met the guy, he used to get mad at me because on my iTunes, I would play a song more than 20 times. And he broke it down to me, and he was just like, there's so much good music out there. There's no reason for you to be playing a song multiple times. With that opportunity, you could be listening to other songs and discovering other great songs. So I've kind of taken that into consideration, and I've really tried to expand, my music horizons as well. And I think it's really helped out with this list that we have this year. And
well, when I met Kyle, all he listened to was Static Major, Mario, Omarion, and Chris Brown. And that was it.
Yeah.
That's exaggeration, but he stepped it up, and he listens a lot that he never listened to. But that's actually the goal of You Know I Got Soul. Introduce R&B fans to music they may not know about and they should be checking out. It's hard to hear new music these days on radio because radio's pretty much playing hip-hop a lot. It's not really what we're used to hearing for R&B. So you got to find R&B in other places. You Know I Got Soul is one of those places, so we just want to encourage everyone to give this music a chance. We only post good music, and this countdown will highlight the best of the best.
And it's really funny, we have a BBM chat going on with myself, Ed, Tom, and Barry, and I think it was either you or Ed that commented on how we all have our different tastes in R&B. I think I'm probably more targeted towards the mainstream R&B. Tom, you probably focus a little more on the independent artists. Barry was a little more experimental, I think that's what it said. And Ed apparently likes barefooted singing.
Barefooted acoustic performances, I think it was. Old school was what he called it.
Old school, yeah. So, we're going to have a great variety of songs. Tom, what are some of the songs that have stood out to you this year?
Well, I don't want to give away too much, but I will say artists that are going to be on this list a lot are Jasmine Sullivan, Tamia, Tidra Moses. All three of them had great albums this year. Let me think who else. Janet Jackson has a few. Tamar. Miguel is going to be on here for a few. Neo. Seven Streeter. Tyrese, of course. And it was another solid year for R&B. You know, we're going to break down this 100 songs. Really, you know, a good mix of independent and major label artists. You know, we four of us all put our heads together and came up with this list. We didn't miss anything. We listened to everything that came out this year. So it doesn't matter if you're a known artist or an unknown artist. We still gave you credit. So we listened to it all, and it's going to be a good countdown.
Yeah, I think one thing to look forward to, or at least for me, you know, we've been doing this countdown for the last couple of years. Chris Brown, for some reason, always ends up in the top 5 for, you know, one of the songs that he releases. Last year it was New Flame. The year before that, I believe it was Fine China. So I'm interested to see if Chris Brown can continue that streak of being in the top 5.
I think it's important too, also, that about this countdown. Someone mentioned to us on Twitter, "Are you doing that countdown again this year?" Last year, I discovered a lot of new artists and new songs I hadn't known about by listening to the countdown. So it was successful for us last year. It was the first time we did it in that format. The year before, which was Ed's first year, we did a live. Remember that? It was a live countdown, the Ustream. Last year we unveiled 10 a day for 10 days, and we're going to do the same this year. So it's good to see that people are discovering new music from listening and checking out the artists.
Yep. And speaking of new music, Tom, I know Babyface, one of the legends of R&B, one of the living legends, he just put out his new album. You did a quick review on it. Talk about the album a little bit for the people who don't know about it.
Yeah, it's I reviewed the album. It's pretty much vintage Babyface. He hasn't had a solo album in 10 years since the Grown and Sexy album in 2005, and he had, you know, the collaboration album with Toni Braxton last year, which won a Grammy. But this is for a solo album, and it's quality R&B, live instrumentation, you know, very good vocals, extremely good writing, which you know from Babyface, and it's all about love and positive messages, which is, you know, what we need in this day and age. And it's only 9 songs. That was one of my complaints, which is pretty short for an album these days, but each song is quality. You can play it right through. The lead single, We Got Love, is doing well right now at radio. So yeah, it's definitely one to check out. Babyface, he's a legend. Was just honored at the Soul Train Awards. Kyle, did you have a chance to check that out or see any reaction from the Soul Train Awards?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get a chance to watch it live. I actually saw the reactions on Twitter, and then after that I went back and watched the video online. I think the one thing you really have to pay attention to, and I'm sure we all know that Babyface is a bona fide hit songwriter. He's written so many classics in his day, and he continues to write great songs. But until you really watch that video and you reflect back on just how many classics he has, it's pretty amazing. You know, I saw Tevin Campbell on there. Shoutouts to Tevin Campbell. I saw my girl Brandy on there. Boys to Men. Fantasia obviously was covering songs by Whitney Houston and Karen White, but, you know, Fantasia did a great job of it. And who else? I think Bobby Brown was on there as well. And so Babyface, he's a beast. And, you know, one of the songs that I think is definitely going to be at the top of our list for this year's R&B Top 100 Countdown is the song that he did for Jordan Sparks, They Don't Give. And, you know, we were having a conversation earlier where, you know, we had always thought that Jordan Sparks was a talented singer. No doubt about it. She's won American Idol. Flat out amazing singer. But this is a song that really caught our attention, and we said, okay, we want to take her seriously as an R&B artist because she's definitely capable of it, and this is the song that proved it.
You know what, though, Kyle? I'm a little disappointed.
What's up?
Jordan Sparks. Shout out to Salam Remy. He signed her after she got dropped from RCA.
Yeah.
And he took a chance on her. She put out a great album. It just didn't make any noise.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened. You know, if there was no budget for it or promotional, whatever. But it's just a shame. Like, They Don't Give. We made a comment on Twitter on the YouKnowIGotSoul account. That should have been one of the top singles this year on radio and made a big impact. It didn't even really do anything.
Yeah.
And I don't blame Salam or Jordan at all. That's who's behind it, who's pushing it. Why is there no promotional, you know, push for it? What do you think?
No, I'm 100% with you. My theory, because I think we always go back to the black and white theory of how white artists are putting out soul music and it's getting played on pop music as opposed to, the black artists, and they're not getting played on the same formats. And I think, and Tom, you and I have spoken about this with comparisons of Adele and Jasmine Sullivan. I think Jasmine Sullivan, Mascara, is one of the best songs of this year, no question about it. But I don't know if the general public can relate to that song.
Well, they asked Babyface about that in this Vibe interview that he did with them. It's interesting, Jasmine Sullivan versus Adele. I don't know, though. I think there's more to it than just she didn't make the right songs, or she didn't make songs that were relatable. Because I don't think if she would have done the same songs that Adele was doing, she would have been automatically blown up. I mean, I really think there's more to it.
Well, do you think if Adele sang Mascara that it would have blown up?
Yes.
Really?
There was so much buzz behind Adele. I don't understand. It's not that I don't understand. It's that like it was so powerful of a movement when this album came out.
Yeah.
It was like everyone was forced to listen no matter what.
Yeah.
I can't say Hello was like the best song I've ever heard, and it deserved to break the records for her album. I can't say that.
Yeah.
So there's other stuff behind the scenes. I don't know. I can't say what it is, but I just don't think it's fair.
Well, for me, and the reason why I asked you is because I think Mascara, one of the best R&B songs of the year, no question about it. But the topic of that song, I don't think is relatable with the general public, with white America.
Oh, I agree about
right?
that. I agree.
So my whole point of saying that is Jordan Sparks, They Don't Give. That is a song that's universal. There is no, cultural differences in that song. It's just a great love song. So I would understand why someone like Jasmine Sullivan wouldn't get played on pop radio for her records, but there is no reason why that Jordan Sparks record didn't cross over.
Well, one thing we don't know is behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I mean, radio is controlled by money. I mean, that's a payola. That's taboo if you want. We're just that's the way it is. But we don't know how much Jordan Sparks had for a budget. If they even wanted to push the single.
Yeah.
If it was just a buzz single, we don't know. I mean, it seems like for Adele, they went all in with that single. But there was so much buzz around it that radio stations had no choice but to play it. Yeah. People were demanding it. Like that's another thing people don't take into account. Radio stations, if enough people request a song, they're going to have to play it because of the demand.
Yeah.
So there was so much buzz around the Adele song, they had no choice. Radio stations wanted to be the first on board. There was so much hype. It's a good song. I'm just saying, like all these factors are involved. We don't know if there was a budget behind it. If Jordan Sparks had money behind hers, there's so many things. I can't speculate.
I think it's just interesting to see how record labels are going about with releasing their albums now. For example, Jeremiah, who isn't really an artist that we cover too much on our site. He's talented, makes catchy songs and whatnot. Def Jam actually just randomly put out his album and released it today or yesterday, right? Without any buzz or hype around it, they just put it out. And you and I were talking about it from a strategic point of view, and that might be a way for him to gain some buzz because it was sort of like a surprise album.
Yeah, I think it was the right move. I mean, it's tough with an artist like Jeremiah. I can't really say if he's developed a fan base. We haven't really gotten to know him. I mean, back in what was it, 2009?
Yeah,
he had that single
Birthday Sex.
Which was a huge single. He kind of disappeared for a while, wasn't on the radar, and then he had the huge single last year, which was Don't Tell Him.
Yeah.
And became huge. We never really got to know him as an artist. What is his artistry? To me, it was more of like a single situation. People were into the song, but they weren't really invested in him. So I feel like it was a good opportunity for the label to put the surprise album out, got people talking. Oh wow, all the media outlets would mention it, and then people would know about it. But you had a different theory. You thought that it might be just time. He hasn't had an album in so long, so it might be time to just.
Well, I mean, you look at it. Let's face it, Jeremiah, and we don't really cover him on the site, like I said, but you can't ignore what he's doing on radio. Whether he's, making songs like "Don't Tell Him," which are topping pop charts and urban charts, or he's the feature on what is that, Natalie LaRose?
Yeah,
it's a song. Yeah. He was the feature on that, but he was pretty much the hook. So he's making an impact on radio, but like Tom said, I don't know if it's translating into fan bases and developing that. So maybe the label thought, okay, well, there's not much else we can do with this. Let's just put it out and see how it goes.
You want to know, speaking of Jeremiah, something interesting. I got a submission from a new artist, and this guy could sing. I'm not going to mention the name, but his bio stated he's drawn comparisons to Jeremiah, The Dream, and Frank Ocean. And I'm like, this guy can sing. Why are they comparing him to... He sounded to me like a Life Jennings / like Jay Holiday type of mold. He was a decent singer.
Yeah.
So I actually responded to the manager and was like, I don't know, I think you should give him a little more credit than that. I don't consider Jeremiah and The Dream as vocalists, true vocalists, so give your artist some credit, which is interesting. But do you see that generation of artists like the Jeremiahs and the Frank Oceans and The Dreams and have influencing vocalists? Do you think that's the case at all?
Yeah, I would say so. I don't think it's necessarily, I don't want to say that it's causing artists to dumb down their vocals, because I don't think that's the case. But with artists like The Dream, Frank Ocean, and Jeremiah, it's more so focused on the artistry or the lyrics rather than the vocals.
Yeah.
And I think, especially with Jeremiah and Frank Ocean, it's more of a vibe than it is a song. That's what you get from their music. So I think that's maybe what they were referring to with this artist. I don't know.
That's fair. I just didn't see it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine.
But
I want to go back to the Soul Train Awards, though. You had mentioned it.
Yeah.
We sent out a tweet that, it's great that the Soul Train Awards are acknowledging, these legendary artists for one night. But R&B fans should acknowledge these artists every single day. Like, you had, Boyz II Men, and you had Brandy out there, and you had Fantasia, and Tevin Campbell, and many others throughout the night being acknowledged. But these artists are still making new music. If they perform their classic that night, why don't we celebrate these artists every single day for what they're doing now? Why do we treat them like they're just some old legacy? They're still making music. Why don't we continue to support? I had an interesting conversation with a friend of ours from Europe, DJ Soulchild. Shout out to him and his artist Faye B. They still celebrate these artists out there. Like, Joe is still huge out there. These artists are still, these 90s R&B artists are huge. So why is it that we here in the U.S., where you're at in Canada, treat these artists like they're just some old, stale? And why is that?
That's a good question. I guess we're just a sucker of whatever the label throws at us. We fall into marketing and all that stuff. So I don't really, I can't say that I have an answer for that. I do believe that there is a demand for these artists, as you can see with all the throwback shows that they do. I'm not really sure why, when they put out new music, it's not received the same. I haven't been to a lot of concerts from artists who, like an Avant who just put out an album. How much of his new material is he performing at his shows, or is he just going back to the classics?
The thing is, R&B fans don't really know the new albums. Yeah. It's only selling, a couple thousand.
Yeah.
No offense to Avant, it's just the state of the game we're in. He's making quality music. People just demand, they just want to hear the classics, unfortunately. I feel like it's a whole different landscape once you leave this country. Overseas, Japan, Europe, we've heard about these fans who just love these artists no matter what. I don't know the answer. It's like, in this country, U.S., I know you're from Canada, but we'll claim you too. You're on the same mainland. Yeah. But it's like we'd rather hate on these artists. Oh, where's he been? Who is,
Yeah.
These artists are accessible. They're on Twitter. You can know what they're doing. It's not like you don't know where they are.
Exactly.
So it's kind of sad. I mean, I just wish that, I'm not going to fault Soul Train. They have one night a year to elevate these artists, a platform.
And they did a good job.
They did a good job. We just need other platforms to help support these artists and let people know they're still around, because radio isn't the way they can go right now.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a tough situation. I mean, I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
But I just wish R&B fans would not hate on an artist if they haven't been around. Like, do a quick research. Look what they've been up to. You can find them on the Instagram, on Twitter. Yeah. They'll let you know what they've been up to. Don't make fun of them for not being in the spotlight. Just because someone's on the major label doesn't mean they're whack now. It could be totally opposite. It could be their choice.
Well, I read an interesting article or an interview that Pleasure P, a Pretty Ricky, did, I forget the outlet that he did the interview with, but it was a great interview, so shout outs to whoever did that interview. He had mentioned that R&B is quote-unquote dead because artists aren't supporting other artists anymore. He used the example in particular to his generation of music. So, you had LSG, that was their generation and the best of that generation. We just had TGT, and that was the generation of the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. But as the generations have progressed, now we're looking at the mid-2000s. So you're thinking of artists like Mario, Chris Brown, Omarion, Lloyd, Pleasure P, Bobby V. All these artists, they're not collaborating with one another. Instead, all of them are trying to find hip-hop success and working with the hip-hop artists. Do you think that's creating problems for the genre of R&B?
Well, not to sound rude or disrespectful, but I just feel like when it comes to that generation, a lot of them are trying to hang on to their careers, and like they're trying to keep it going as a career. They don't want to have to give up music. It's tough these days, it's tough to continue selling records and doing shows. So they're not worried about collaborating and keeping R&B alive. They're more so worried about, how do I extend my career so I can keep having a career in music? Because someone like a Bobby V, who we love, is a big supporter of us, could put out a project like he did with Peach Moon, which was a great project, great R&B album, and no one would even notice. So how does that benefit him, So he's more so worried about, how do I, what can I do to extend my career or keep my name out there? How do I keep my name popular? Because it's like we just talked about, people won't know you're even around still unless you're heard on the radio or seen on TV, which is a shame. So, that's the way I view it.
Yeah. Luckily, there is some good news. Tank just announced that he will be partnering up with his label Atlantic Records for his own label. The name is R&B Money, so he's going to be signing artists, developing them, and executive producing their projects. Tom, do you think Tank is the right person for that type of thing?
Well, Tank, he already showed us he could identify talent. You've heard his group, 12 Till.
Yep.
They covered the Playa song, Cheers to You.
Yep.
They killed it. They're a true throwback R&B sound, raw vocals. So he showed us. Plus Tank is a writer, producer.
Yeah.
So he showed us he can, know how to build up an artist. He's made many hits for other artists. So it's all about, is Atlantic going to really support it? And I hope they do. It's great that he has the opportunity. He's been around for so long, been successful. So, Tank is one of the artists we support the most, and we're pulling for him. It's just going to be interesting to see who he signs.
Yeah, the one name that I had in mind was Pleasure P, who we just talked about earlier, because Tank wrote Pleasure P's latest, or his last huge record, which was Under, back in 2009 and 2010, and I think that really fit Pleasure P's sound. So that was an artist that I thought would probably be a fit. I think you had an interesting idea. Genuine was the name that was brought up.
Genuine is interesting because Tank started out singing backgrounds for Genuine on tour, and you can search on YouTube. There's video of it, and then eventually Tank got his own situation on Blackground. And then it'd be interesting to see now, they're in the group together, TGT. Wouldn't it be cool if Tank now, reached back to Genuine and elevated him? Because, it would be good for Genuine to put out a new album, and he just needs a platform. He still tours a lot. He entertains. He's a great entertainer.
Yeah.
He's got a ton of hits. He can make great songs. You think it'll be a good...
Yeah, I think so, because, we both interviewed Genuine, and he said one of the things he doesn't really like to do is be in the studio. He likes to be out there performing. So if he has someone like Tank to, help him out and just guide him with his albums, I think it will create a strong project that will eventually benefit Genuine as he goes back on the road. So I think it is, it's an interesting theory. I don't know, of course, R&B artists, they all have egos, and I don't know how Genuine would take it if Tank tried to sign him, especially considering that Genuine put Tank in the game. But it is an interesting idea, and, it might be something that's a reality.
What's interesting, too? A lot of people say, oh, why would this artist put out an album if he's only going to sell, 3,000 copies or 10,000 copies or whatever? But what they don't realize is, if an artist puts out new material, that gives them a whole new body of work to tour on. Promoters will book them. They have a new album out. They can, that's something that gets fans excited. So, like, people can hate on artists for not selling platinum or gold, but that's a new album that they can have new songs to perform live, and that gets fans excited. It gets promoters, ready to book them. They can do tours. They can do shows. So that's just another thing people don't always think about. Like, I used to think like that. Oh, why is he going to release this album? No one's going to even know about it. But it works out for artists in the long run. You got to have new material out, get people excited, and keep it fresh. So Genuine's an artist who can benefit, I think. His last album was, 2011? Elgin?
Yeah.
And he still does a ton of shows. He'll always do shows off of his hits.
Yep.
And shout out to Static Major. But, he's got a, he's someone who's plenty capable of making more hits. So he should keep it going. I think Tan can work well with him.
For sure. So, want to go into our album look back, Tom. We had just talked about, actually, prior to getting on this podcast, you had pulled out a Donell Jones album. So, I want to talk about the second album.
Where I Want to Be.
That's the album that everyone seems to love. One of the most cohesive R&B albums that I've heard in a long time, or since, I've been listening to R&B.
That is, that was the album that made that turned him into a star. I mean, My Heart was his debut album.
Yep.
Great album. He covered Stevie Wonder's Knocks Me Off My Feet. And I'll save this for after, but he covered that song, and it always made me wonder, why don't more artists cover a song and turn it into a single?
Yeah.
But we'll save that discussion for after, but
sure.
Where I Want to Be, they had the singles, You Know What's Up with Left Eye, which was a huge song. Where I Want to Be, of course. This Love, and what's there one other?
I Want to
Love You? Was that a single?
It wasn't a single, but that was a great record.
Oh, in my book it was a hit, though. So
yeah, it's all good.
That counts.
That definitely does count.
But yeah, it was that was his the album made him a household name. So like you said, cohesive. Oh, go ahead.
Do you hear any Neo in Donell Jones, or any Donell Jones in Neo? Because that's something that I've read in different forums.
You think Donnell influenced Neo?
Do you think so at all? With the hat and...
Oh, the hat?
Well, not even the hat, but just,
Kyle, they're both bald, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, genetics.
But
the smooth vocals, the conversation.
I never thought about it until this time.
Yeah.
Donnell did write his own lyrics.
Yeah.
I mean, he did write for others too,
yeah.
But I never thought about it until you put me on the spot.
Yeah.
That's messed up, man.
I'm sorry.
I'll think about it off the record, and we'll talk about it next time.
You let me know what your thoughts are in your books. So.
Neo and Donnell, that's interesting.
Yeah, they're both bald.
They're both bald. That's all I got right now.
They both wear hats.
That's all I have right now.
They both wear nice outfits, little suits.
I'm a fan of both.
There you go.
Does that count for anything?
Nah, you probably just instinctively just like Neo because you sounded like Donnell. I don't know. I just saw that on a forum recently, and
we need to ask Neo if I can guarantee Neo would say Donell Jones was an influence.
Was or wasn't?
Was.
Interesting.
For certain.
Yeah, okay.
Donell Jones influenced a lot of artists.
Yeah.
I just read another. We were reviewing submissions all day from artists who sent in their music and wanted to be featured.
Yeah.
So I read a few that said Donell Jones was an influence.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it. Donell Jones, what he's good at is he represents the fellas, and he represents them well. So, yeah, I would also expect a lot of people to name Donnell as a influence. But yeah, his second album was great. Have You Seen Her? That's one of my favorites on there.
Oh man, Have You Seen It? Yeah. Great song. That was most people would consider the album a classic.
Yeah.
Where I Want to Be.
Thanks.
I remember when that song first came out. This will take you back, but this is when R&B was still mainstream.
Yeah.
I remember people blasting Where I Want to Be from their car.
Yeah.
Like, think about that. Like, people don't blast slow jams from their car, but I remember that.
Yeah.
Like, it was on Hot 97. People were, like, blasting. Times have changed, though.
We need to get back to that. We got to stop doing the nay and the and whatever you guys are doing now.
Can you do the nay, Kyle?
I absolutely cannot, and I refuse to.
Me either.
So anyway.
Wait, hold on. Oh, the Toms, this or that.
Yeah.
You ready for this?
I'm ready.
So if you're not familiar with this segment, I'll name out two different things, and we'll everyone else on the podcast will discuss which they prefer.
Yeah. So, obviously Barry and Ed aren't here, so I'm kind of just put on the spot right now with this.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier in this podcast, I've had a few frosty beverages in me, so... And before this, we were playing Mario Kart, so... Anyways, Tom, I'll let you take over.
All right. Ready for this?
Yep.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs. I think we've talked about this before. I don't like cats.
What's wrong with cats?
They're shady.
They are kind of shady.
Yeah, they are.
They are kind of shady.
No shade, but they are kind of shady. No disrespect, but they suck.
Well...
Dogs are nice.
Yeah, a cat will just sit in the corner and hiss at you.
Yeah.
They're haters.
Think about it like this. If your house was on fire right now, your dog would save you.
A dog would save you.
Your cat would just leave.
It would jump out the window on its own and try to save... Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
Alright, that's easy.
Yep.
Alright, hold on. I didn't have anything prepared, so I'm trying to come up with this on the spot.
Do you want to tell...
We're talking Mario Kart, right?
Yep.
Alright. See, Sega Genesis or Super Nintendo?
I was a Super Nintendo guy.
See, I was a Sega Genesis guy.
And Sega Genesis is probably the better console.
Really? I always was envious of Super Nintendo owners. I was like, damn.
Well, the Sega Genesis had better co-op games. From what I understood. Their Power Ranger game was better than
the Power Ranger? Yeah,
it was better than the Super Nintendo.
That was true.
Yeah.
Wow, Power Rangers got brought up on the You Know I Got Soul podcast.
Anything happens around here.
Power Rangers.
Yeah.
You know what else was another one? The Batman and Robin game. You ever played that?
I played it on the Super Nintendo.
So the Genesis one was way better.
Well, there you go, right?
But the Super Nintendo had better Mario Brothers. They had all the Mario games. We didn't have that.
Yeah,
we had Sonic.
I guess.
That leads to my next question. Sonic or Mario?
Mario.
Damn.
Sonic ended up leading... He ended up leading back and signing with Nintendo.
He did.
So, that would be like choosing between Tank and Genuine when Genuine eventually signs the Tank's label. How can you really...
No.
That's exactly what it is.
No, that is not...
Anyways.
Nas signed with Jay-Z.
Yeah.
We just celebrated Ether Day yesterday.
Yeah, and then Jay-Z left the label and Nas is stuck at Def Jam now. I'm just kidding. Is Nas still on Def Jam?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's doing well, so...
You're being a cat right now. You're so shady.
It's all good.
Oh man!
Can we tell the listeners about another true You Know I Got Soul story?
Yes.
It actually just happened today.
Okay.
So, Tom and I had met up, because this is my first day in New York. I actually got in there at around 6 a.m. Was in Chinatown all day. Tom eventually met up with me. We were gonna go eat. He had to make a couple of stops first, so he goes to a liquor store and gets a bottle of... What'd you get? Hypnotic, which tastes awful, by the way. And then he goes to the grocery store to get 2 bottles of pineapple juice. And I think at home you already had a huge bottle of Hennessy, right?
Yeah.
This so-called bartending expert proceeds to put a lot of Hennessy, a lot of Hypnotic, and not a lot of pineapple juice. So the color is like a weird sewer green.
Yeah, it was pretty sewer.
It was pretty awful. And he's like, try this, I hear this is good. I tried it, I almost died.
We were reminiscing on the old days. The Incredible Hulk is a classic drink from like 15 years ago. Listen to Fabulous songs in the early days. He talks about Hypnotic all day.
This is true.
So, we tried to reminisce, we failed.
We failed.
But what are you going to do? That happens sometimes.
So, that leads me to the food discussion.
Wait. Okay, go ahead.
What is your drink of choice, Tom?
My drink. That's a great Genuine song. That was a hit in my book.
That would absolutely.
There was a video for that song.
Yeah. By the way, the reason why Tom keeps saying in my books is because we were just talking to his wife earlier, and we really wanted her to join this podcast to bring in an outsider's perspective. And Tom had asked her what she thought some of the best songs of this year were, and Marlene mentioned an artist who has great songs but didn't really necessarily have commercial hits. And Tom was like, she didn't have any hits. And Marlene, Tom's wife, was like, in my book she did. And it left us all floored because we had never heard of that as a reason before.
But that's legit, though. That's what we're doing with the countdown, though.
It's just
if it's good songs, it's good songs.
It doesn't matter
if anyone thinks it's a hit or not. Good music is good music.
So, are you saying Marlene was ahead of her time?
Marlene is ahead of her time.
Wow.
I'm gonna roll with that statement. It was a hit in my book. I'll use that anytime.
Excellent.
People might think I'm stupid, but hey, what are you gonna do?
It's all good.
So, what is your food discussion? My drink of choice.
Yeah.
By the way, remember that drink of choice video? Genuine?
With the chocolate milk?
Adult chocolate milk. Whatever happened to that?
I tried that, actually.
It came out?
Yeah, it came out.
Really?
Funny story. Genuine had a concert in Vancouver. This would probably have to be around 2011, 2012. It was Genuine, Tony, and SWV. And Genuine was pouring out that adult chocolate milk for everyone in the crowd.
In what?
In a little shot cup.
And you got one?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It was. It tasted exactly like chocolate milk.
Did you get drunk?
I didn't get drunk.
Okay.
But
did he check ID?
No.
Oh man,
No.
that's bad. Uh-oh. Feds. The feds are listening.
Anyway, so is that your drink of choice? Chocolate milk?
No.
No?
Definitely not.
Is it Malibu Red?
No. Malibu Red. Shout out to Neo. That's his liquor. That's rum mixed with it's like coconut what even is it? Tequila. It's an interesting mix. It tastes great. Mix it with some Sprite. It's really good, but no. I'm more of a cranberry and vodka type of guy.
What are you, a girl?
A girl?
That's what girls drink.
No, what?
I'm just kidding.
What?
I'm just kidding.
If Ed was here, he'd be like, good Lord.
Good Lord.
Ed doesn't even drink, though, so he doesn't know.
Yeah.
But no, that's cranberry. How about Long Island iced tea? You ever had one of those?
That's a sissy drink, isn't it?
No, it's not.
It's
That's
not?
like the strongest. Kyle doesn't really drink,
I don't
as you
drink.
can tell.
Yeah.
So, that's my drink of choice. Cranberry pineapple, Hennessy pineapple. I'm a cognac guy. I'm a vodka guy. What are you going with?
Well, Tom, I don't drink, so we can't really discuss that. But
Wow.
This just reminded me of something else. Remember when Pharrell and Robin Thicke were doing their disposition?
Uh-oh. No, I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it.
Well, they were doing their dispositions, and every time that they would ask Robin Thicke a question, he would just answer with "I was drunk and high" in every interview that I did last year. So I remember the other day you were saying, "I'm drunk for every podcast that I do." Is this true?
No. Come on, Kyle. Can I imitate my good friend Ed once again? Good Lord, Kyle. Come on. No, I mean, but I will say that's funny though. For Thicke, I'm not going to judge Thicke for saying that.
No,
I do love his song "Morning Sun."
no, that song is. I'm already putting it out there. I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but that's going to be in our top.
No,
5.
but think about walking through life every day, being drunk and high. You don't even know what the hell is going on. You're just stumbling around life.
And then you make songs like Morning
And you
Sun.
and all of a sudden you have a hit. No, you have a hit like
Blurred Lines.
Blurred Lines. It just came out of nowhere. You didn't know what the hell was going on.
Yep.
Pharrell did all the work. You just were in the studio at the time.
And here you are.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Shout out to Robin Thicke.
You lost your wife, but that's.
You got one of the biggest songs of all time.
Get Her Back was a great song though.
Yeah. No, Robin Thicke is talented. He's always
love
been-
Robin Thicke.
Yeah, he's talented. And
I mean, personal problems aside, we're not here to judge him.
Yeah.
He's always made great stuff. We put out a great article about all some songs he wrote for other artists that no one even knew about.
Yeah, and Morning Sun, like I said, that's going to be in our top 5, maybe even top 3. So the next podcast we're going to count down all the songs and talk about them. But as of right now, I think that's it for us. We have clocked in at about 40 minutes, and we're going to have to wait until next time when Ed is back, when Barry is back, for us to have an actual full-blown podcast. But until then, this is Kyle, and that's Tom. He doesn't eat beef, and I'm in the East, in New York. So, yeah, we're out. I got Soul is out. Peace.
Peace.